What's good, YouTube? Facebook, Instagram, and all other social networks. If I don't get to that show and you're a superstar on YouTube or whatever, I'm not trying to scam you. If you're a regular person, I'm not trying to scam you. I'm trying to help everybody make some money, extra money. If you're with it, you're down with it, cool. If you're not, hey, the videos I am about to show you are people doing other business besides what they doing, but they have other business, something like network marketing. They put their money into another company and invest in it. But the key word here is investing. And a lot of people keep asking how they do it. Well, join a team hustle. And once you get enough people, you can move to a company. You know, I'm trying to build a big old team. When I say big old team. Sorry for the air in the background. I'm in my grandma's house recording video. But that's what I'm doing. Check. My name is Ori Graves, and I'm checking out.
Hey, what's up, yo? It's K50 Cent right here. Again, it's Cocaine City. I stay on that hot shit, you know what I'm saying? I don't fuck the other DVDs because they really ain't got no circulation. If you really want to know what the fuck reason why you don't see me on the other shit. You understand what I'm saying? We'll keep it real with you, you know what I'm saying? You right here in the middle of motherfucking Manhattan. That don't even look like, man, that look like projects right there, right? I mean, they fucked up over there too, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good, you know what I'm saying? We out here. Make me mad, word, because I be looking at niggas like, I don't understand why they don't get it. You know what I mean? Niggas want a problem. Like, niggas not a problem. I don't have a problem. There's no problems anymore. You know why? Because if I had a problem, what I could do is I could take a nigga like the Fat Joe nigga. You kidding me? I take a nigga off the street right now and make him make the money Fat Joe make right now. And then you know what I tell him after he get comfortable? I'm sorry, but this is over. If you don't deal with that situation, the situation you got is over. Then it's the Pop Go the Weasel. You already know what time it is, because niggas is hungry. You watching this shit right now and you waiting on your shot, then you know, because you would do it. And they act like it's a problem. It ain't a problem, man. I would dispose of these niggas conveniently. TOS, nigga, Terminator on sight. They green. I said they green. Niggas be asking me questions, right? I be asking niggas, why the fuck you asking me questions? So many questions. I understand it now, because I just sat down and I thought about it and I said, damn. If I'm from the same corner another nigga from, and that nigga get up off that corner and start bringing in 100 big ones every motherfucker, I'm not talking about $100, nigga. I'm talking about 100 M's, nigga. A motherfucking, yeah, I got a lot of questions too, right? Supposed to have a motherfucking question, but niggas always act like they don't understand what's going on. I be telling niggas straight up, I give them the game, man. It's a gift. Here you go, baby. And you know what they do? They look at me like I'm trying to pull a fast one on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get to you right after I used it. Once I bang them one time, I hit a lick, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go do it if you can fucking keep your head together enough to get yourself in the position. But I mean, you want to play stupid, be stupid, stay broke. You know what I'm saying? That's my motto. You understand what I'm saying? For me, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to absorb everything that's going on and get what I can get. Ain't no school for this shit, stupid. Ain't no school for this shit. You got to be smart enough to pick up the information as you go. Now, the crazy shit is niggas that look like you doing something wrong. What I do wrong? If you can find a nigga that could tell you that I own something, find one nigga that can say, yo, that nigga 50 owe me something, or he won't call you boo-boo because he want to act like he knew me before we actually got on and shit like that. If you can find a nigga that say I owe him something, word to my mother, I'll give him whatever you say I owe him, but because I can't remember a nigga doing nothing for me, nigga. Now motherfuckers say you crazy, nigga call me crazy, you know I be thinking when they say that? Niggas say I'm crazy, I be thinking, yep. I was crazy enough to believe what the fuck I was saying gonna happen was gonna happen. And that's why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist now. Feel what I'm saying? So, Later on, y'all can check it out. I know y'all niggas be reading 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Now you're gonna read the 50th law. Cause I done got with Robert Greene to create the new shit for you to read, nigga. You see what I'm saying, man? Yeah, nigga, come on, man. Don't play with me that shit. 33 Strategies of War, The Art of Seduction. Come on, man. All that shit come from the hood, B. It's a parallel between corporate America and the hood, and it's obvious. You see me winning, don't you? And fucking old timers is looking like, yo, that young boy, he took a page out of my book. But they ain't make all of that fucking money off it that I made off it. So what that make me? That make me a better version of them niggas. The old school niggas. And you check out Fez Magazine, Felon Magazine, and fucking Don Diva and all that shit. For real, you getting ready to see a nigga just trying to reflect on the glory days. Baby, I had 10 bricks. Remember I bought you a gold watch, didn't I? Now I don't wanna hear that shit. Tell me that shit. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is the point right here where I don't want to see a nigga who had it and don't got it no more. Really, I think them books is there in order to make niggas remember that shit, because they ain't ready to do that shit that they did then now. You see what I'm saying? So now they want to reflect on that shit so they can make the young boys feel like that they that hard or that serious, so they put it in like that, and then they get the young boys to do anything. They ain't fucking doing nothing. So explain to me, like, when I'm coming up, niggas is like, yo, who with him? Like, who he with? Me, nigga. By myself, nigga. I do what the fuck I want to do. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the young niggas love me. They love me. You know why they love me? They think like me. They feel like me. And even after I play basketball, they smell like me. Nigga, we the same. We come up the same corners. We ain't had much. You understand what I'm saying? You just gotta hustle. Nigga, you gotta go hard, man. You see it playing games, man? Niggas got it. I'm gonna get it. Trust me. I'm gonna get mine. I don't know about y'all niggas. You know what I'm saying? That niggas on bullshit. I'm gonna shoot a nigga over because he stepped on my shoe type shit. Or he fucked the same bitch I fucked with. Yeah, then you gotta up your game so the bitches is from somewhere else. Come on, man. Real shit, man. Like, I mean, like, I don't even know what to say to niggas, man. I go to my hood and niggas like, yo, what up? I be like, man, get the fuck out of here. I ain't talking to this nigga. What the fuck am I talking to this nigga for? You know what my grandfather told me? You don't get as far as the motherfuckers you talk to for no reason. You'll be successful as the motherfuckers that you talk to for no reason. What I mean is, if you spending your day talking to a nigga that ain't got nothing going on, what the fuck kind of information can he offer you? Can he help you learn something? Can he teach you something in the conversation? Leave me the fuck alone, man. Y'all niggas...
For my artists, it's gonna be a bigger look for them.
So Young Money's going through Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they pay real well over there.
Because there were rumors that you were going to Koch or any
Who?
independent.
Independent for what? I'm super balling. Why would I go to an independent label? That's independent money. Like, when you... I respect everybody that go get that independent money, but when you go get that superstar money, I bet you can ask any superstar in the game. Independent money ain't even a cent to me. I got superstar money. I'm a superstar. Like, yeah, it's cool. You could sell independent. You might sell 100,000 copies, and you get such and such monies and that, man, all that like that. Blase, 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 blah. How about my artists? It's gonna be a bigger look for them.
So Young Money's going through Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they pay real well over there.
Because there were rumors that you were going to Koch or any
Who?
independent.
Independent for what? I'm super balling. Why would I go to an independent label? That's independent money. Like, when you, I respect everybody that go get that independent money, but when you go get that superstar money, I bet you can ask any superstar in the game. Independent money ain't even a cent to me. I got superstar money. I'm a superstar. Like, yeah, it's cool. You could sell independent. You might sell 100,000 copies, and you get such and such monies and that, man, all that. My artists, it's gonna be a bigger look for them.
So Young Money's going through Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they pay real well over there.
Because there were rumors that you were going to Koch or any
Who?
independent.
Independent for what? I'm super balling. Why would I go to an independent label? That's independent money. Like, when you, I respect everybody that go get that independent money, but when you go get that superstar money, I bet you can ask any superstar in the game. Independent money ain't even a cent to me. I got superstar money. I'm a superstar. Like, yeah, it's cool, you could sell independent, you might sell 100,000 copies, and you get such and such monies and that, man, all that like that, blah, 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 blah. How
Like that, blah, 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 blah. How
about 10 million, son? For nothing. I ain't even dropped an album in 3 years. That's the type of I'm talking for nothing. 10 million a deal, 5 million a deal, 2 million a deal, 1 million a smile, 2.5 to breathe. Things like that. That's when you forget about Indie Catch who? Who? Indie what? Indie.
You haven't even thought
What's
about
that?
it.
Huh?
You haven't even thought about it.
Nah, why would Lil Wayne have an independent label? I mean, have a deal with an independent label when he's I'm gonna push
Why do
this
you think a
nigga.
lot of artists go indie? Like, you know, like, why do you think a lot of artists go indie? Like, from that where, you know, you see some artists that were major and they go indie.
I don't know, because if I knew and if I gave an answer, that would be an opinion, because that answer could be wrong.
Yeah.
And nigga could be watching and be like, nigga, that ain't why we went indie.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I know why I'm a superstar. You gotta feel how I just keep saying I'm a superstar, like that's just tight.
And this is the way the industry is designed. You gotta audit them and fight to get your money. It's not like the contract is just, you know, they're gonna follow it. You know, you gotta be smart enough to know that, okay, they're gonna try to inflate all these charges. Let me find a way to get my money out of them. Yeah. You know, Master P told me the illest story one time, man. I don't even know if I should repeat it, but he left this industry. He left this industry, man, and I used to go into the Universal offices, and I would be like, they would be talking crazy about Master P. I'm like, man, why y'all talking crazy about Master P? They're like, oh, Master P ran off with all the money, and we gave him a big deal, and he ran off with the money. So I got in touch with Master P, and I'm talking to Master P, and I'm trying to get him on something, and Master P is like, nah, I can't do it. I'm not doing nothing for the industry. I'm gone. And I'm like, why? You know, you built this. You were the person that started this for me. And he was like, I said, why do everybody talk crazy about you? They said you took money from him. He says, no, I took my money. When he was doing what he was doing with Master P, with No Limit, he was putting his uncle on, he was putting his niece on, he was putting everybody on, and everybody was going platinum, right? So he's supposed to get this big check because he's doing it independently. When he gets his check, all this money is missing, and he's like, where's the rest of the money? And the label says, hey, we did all this. We got $400,000 for marketing. We got this for that. He was like, what? I'm the one that did all that. Show me the proof. There was no proof. So Master P couldn't get his money from them. Right. So Master P says, okay, I'm gonna create this new thing, new No Limit or whatever, right? And he keeps it cool. He's like, hey, I wanna do this big deal. I'm gonna do all the videos. I'm gonna do all this stuff for all the artists. And the label says, okay. They give him a big, he says, I want the money up front though. So I'm not gonna say how much they gave him, but they gave him a whole lot of money. And he took the money. So now the artists start blowing up, and they go to Universal like, it's time to do the video. And they say, no, we gave Master P all the money. Go get him to do the video. So they run to Master P. And they say, hey, P, the label told me that you got the money for my video, my budget. And he says, no, I got my money. Right? So he found a way to get his money back from Universal. Right. And then he was like, I'm out. And he cashed out, and he left the industry. And to me, I was like, man, that's the most genius thing ever. Like, I wish I could cash out right now. He's smart. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of my ways to cash out. But, you know, that showed me he's like a hustler, you know what I'm saying? He came from like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to make a lot of money. And then he used that to flip into other businesses. And, you know, the industry's designed like that. You got to almost cheat it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know.
I hope he's not mad at me for telling that one.
He'll be all right.
Get on thetrunk.com and be heard.
See any cotton around here lately?
Cotton here. My name is my name.
Then you produce a movie, send it straight to video, and watch it enter the music video sales charts at #1. Well, pretty soon people are going to want to know who the heck you are. So it goes with Master P, who blew out of New Orleans 5 years ago and parlayed $10,000 into his own label, No Limit Records, which has a growing stable of rappers. Master P's latest CD, Ghetto D, topped the charts 2 weeks back, and now he's in South Central working on a follow-up to his I'm 'Bout It video, which is where John Norris turned up to get down with P.
Did you know that 97 was going to be the year that things really blew up?
Well, basically what I did was I prepared myself. Constantly move. In business, you got to have a strategy, and you got to have plans. And you got to organize yourself for growing. And that's what I did. I knew 97 was going to be the year that we was going to grow.
Fast living got me trapped in the street game. Before I die, I hope I have a chance to make a change.
C. Dolores Tucker, take note. Even though mainstream hip-hop appears to have been heading in a softer, more melodic direction in recent months, the success of Master P and his family of no-limit artists is ample proof that there's still a large audience out there that's hungry for hardcore.
My cause in life is to make the best music I could make and talk about the things that I done seen. Other people that don't understand it. I mean, I have parental advisory sticker on my tape. If you figure that this is not something for you or your kids, don't buy it.
Is there a heaven for a gangster?
Now that the floodgates of success and attention have opened for P and his label, inevitable comparisons are being made to certain other rap entrepreneurs. What do you think of those comparisons, first of all? When people say, oh, he's the independent Puffy, you know?
Well, me personally, that make me feel good because I know those people are successful and I know they done accomplished a lot. But nobody could never judge me with somebody else because I can only be P.
Certainly one distinction is P's successful venture into movie making. I'm 'Bout It, a raw, self-produced film about his life in the New Orleans ghetto, has sold over 200,000 copies since its straight-to-video release in June.
Y'all know P? P. Don't worry about that, partner. Where P at?
Nigga, what's up?
Nigga, what's up? What's up? Nigga, that's what's up.
I want to be the first ghetto filmmaker in America, you know? All ghetto movies. I'm specializing in movies that nobody else want to make.
Y'all know it don't get no realer than this. MTV ain't never been... Y'all in South Central right now shooting a movie.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
P's latest film project, I Got the Hookup, is a comedy about two guys who run a cell phone theft operation. And it boasts twice the budget of his debut.
We're gonna bring Hollywood to the hood, baby. Freeze!
That's the black guy!
We're going to constantly just crank out movies the same way I did tapes and CDs. So, you know, I mean, I think that's the blessing of having your own company and being able to do your own thing. And that's what No Limit is all about.
And if you're friends of P, then, well, Master P's I Got the Hookup is expected to get a theatrical release sometime next year.
Folks, this brother is so hard to catch up. We've been trying to get him a Washington Watch for a long time, and I had to do so. Come all the way to California to the 2011 All-Star Game to hook up with Russell Simmons. He's got a new book out. It is Super Rich, A Guide to Having It All. Russell, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you, brother. You know, I was in Washington, and I missed you.
I know that, so that's what I'm saying.
And
so
I called ahead and everything.
I
so
understand.
You're a little tough to catch as well.
Well, just a little bit, Let's jump right into it. I've heard many different interviews. I read different interviews. I talked to you on Tom Joyner Morning Show.
Yes.
And your critics, the first thing they say, Russell, you got it all. You got money. You're getting paid. So how all of a sudden are you now deciding to tell people there's a different way to have it all? When you hear that, what do you say?
Well, I think that criticism is legitimate. I hear it so often. I don't think it makes real good sense since your mother and your father and your preacher, your rabbi, imam, or
right.
your prophet, your scripture, all told you that having it all comes from within. Mm-hmm. And so it's told to you over and over again. I mean, of course, people forget, but it's etched in stone. You know, it's in each prophet's mouth and each teaching. So this book is about the same truth that you already have etched inside you. The idea is to have it ring a bell.
Here's what jumps out. Because I was at a church in Dallas several years ago, and they honored the Member of the Year. This woman didn't have a car, didn't have much money, but the pastor said whenever somebody was sick, she was always at the hospital first. When his father died, she was there taking care of him. And what they talked about was, they said she had a prosperous spirit. Now, when people hear spiritual prosperity, what's interesting is this woman, the pastor said she didn't have a lot of money, she didn't have cars, but her spirit was prosperous because she was a giving woman.
There is a point in the book that was tough for me because I wanted to make sure that people got this message. I didn't want to tell them that you could have a prosperous spirit and you would be happy, and that was all. Because I know that is not attractive to a lot of us. Mm-hmm. A lot of us are entitled, we need to empower ourselves. And maybe if we believe at the end there's some payoff, then we'll start to walk a different path. I can remind you that, of course, The story of Puffy is in that book. The story of Leo Cohen, the story of Kevin Liles, the story of Julie Greenwald, the story of Michael Kaiser. All these people were my interns, became presidents.
Right.
The story of David Geffen as a intern working in the mailroom. All those stories are in the book. But those stories about people who went to work and they were focused on the present. They were giving. They were making sure everybody was better as interns. And when you make sure everybody's better as an intern, you study your craft, one day you're the leader. You're still a servant, but they look to you for leadership because you're making them better.
But the struggle seems to be, for a lot of people, they see it as 100% this, 100% that. So for instance, I'll talk to people and they'll say, well, I want to have a bigger house, want to have more money. And I say, look, I understand that. I get that. But if you don't have a sense of happiness inside, if you don't have a sense of contentment, then even when you get that, you still may not be content. You still may not be happy, and you still might be miserable.
See, I would contend, and this is people say this is more Eastern philosophy, but it's written in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah as well. The contentment is not partly inside as a result, and there is nothing on the outside that will make you happy. Money does not make you happy under any circumstance. Mm-hmm. Happy does make you money, though, this attractive giver.
What jumps out, one thing in writing this, where you said, wow, this is where I am today. This is where I used to be. And even I'm surprised about that growth, that evolution.
What I learned is that when I look back and I'm trying to explain what it is that promotes this kind of prosperity or this kind of happiness inside, I can look back now after having read scripture and look and say, well, this is what they mean. Like we talk about being awake or fully awake, and what I call super rich is a state of needing nothing. The same thing could be described, nirvana would be the state of needing nothing, or a state of yoga, or Christ consciousness, a state of needing nothing. It's a blissful state. When does that happen? So there's a chapter called Work is Prayer, to make work your prayer. Because when I was making these records, all I could hear was the melody. I was focused on the melody. Every so often I might break focus. And I'd break focus and I'd think, wait till they hear this. I never thought, when till the money comes.
You mentioned stillness. There's a wonderful gospel song called Peace Be Still. Talk a bit about why stillness is so important. Especially in the world now where we have Twitter, Facebook, Blackberries, iPod, iPhone, iPad, internet, everything is just moving.
Yeah, but you operate from stillness. You have hundreds of thoughts going through your head all the time. When the noise settles, they say it's only God. That's all that's left is here. And so you need to, every day if possible, let the noise settle and separate yourself from, and you operate from a place where you can be the watcher. The yogis refer to the watcher, where they see their life, and instead of being an extra moved around by the masses or the collective is, you're in the role that you want to play. You can play your own role as opposed to being moved around.
How do you feel when people come up to you and literally say, my thought process, my life, my focus has been transformed by something that you wrote?
The proceeds of this book go to charity. I run 5 charities. I run the Foundation for Ethnic Understanding, the Diamond Empowerment Fund, the Hip Hop 7 Action Network, the Rush Philanthropic Art Foundation, the Life Project. I run and I work in many other philanthropic and social and political endeavors. That's what I do. But this book and the last book, I do get that. And the lifting someone's consciousness by even 1 degree is a very great gift. And for me, it is, the most rewarding thing I can do is to give people a little shift or just a reminder of the piece of God that's inside them.
Are you hopeful, let's deal with the issue of music. Are you hopeful that a bestseller like this, your influence with folks in the industry, could also raise their level of consciousness in terms of what they are distributing?
Well, I think that the rapper's job is to tell us what we're thinking as a collective. I don't think that they necessarily have to be the ones to lift us. It's nice when Kanye writes Jesus Walks. But if we're sexist, and we are, and if we're racist, and we are, and if we're homophobic, and we are, and we're violent, and a rapper brings some of that into his poetry. It's a look at some part of us we don't like to see. And I would say that the rappers are already less sexist, less racist, less homophobic than the masses, and they're certainly less gangster than our government. So I mean, I want everyone to be lifted. I don't want the poets traditionally have always told us who we are. And I don't mean just here in America at this moment, but traditionally throughout history, the poets have always been the ones to look inside and spit out things that we do, act on, live with, and try to block out. And then the poets say it. George Bush don't like black people. Doesn't mean it's true. It means that's what people are thinking. So he just said it. He said, wow, why did he say that? He said it because everybody's thinking it. So poets have to say F the police. Very important to say F the police. When there's so much police brutality going on, and at that moment, and then the next thing, there was a whole review of the relationship between community and police. And so I think the poet's job is to give it to us raw. I don't fault them. They're not ahead of society in violence. They're not ahead of society in sexism or racism. They're certainly less racist and sexist and homophobic and everything else than the previous generation. So I hope that everyone's lifted. I hope that our priests and preachers, who are more sexist than most rappers, are transformed. I hope that there's some people who are, and I think a lot of rappers are talking about it, who realize that the number 2 use of oil beside the army, all the water, all the grain, the destruction of the ozone layer, all the cancer and sickness, and the worst karma in the history of humankind is animals and the abuse of them. And I think that a lot of rappers are saying that, more than the mainstream. It's our reality. So we do things unconsciously. Rappers bring them up because at least they can be in touch with them. They know them. They see the contradictions. And it's good that they say what they say in many cases. I never am offended by what they say. I'm hurt sometimes if I can't escape it. I'm sometimes hurt by the things that we do as a collective, but I'm not upset by a poet who exposes it.
Folks, the book is called Super Rich, A Guide to Having It All, by Russell Simmons, bestseller. And so certainly I hope folks continue reading it, but also, as you said, stay on the path of enlightenment.
Well, Jay and Warren, thank you very much for coming by, and thank you for the facilities, Warren. You two are unique. Even though you're in different spheres, you've reached a level of success almost legendary. What did you do? What made you different? Warren, we'll start with you, because they're investing. There are a lot of bright people. They've all claimed to read Graham and Dodd. They all claim to be disciplined, and yet there's only one Warren Buffett.
Well, I was lucky that I got started early. I mean, it always helps if you get started early. And my dad happened to be in the investment business, so I would go down to his office on Saturdays. And so at age probably 7 or something, I started reading these books that were around the place. And so I had a 15-year jump on many people in a sense, and that helped a lot. And I was always fascinated by it. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do early, and I think that's a huge advantage too. And then you don't need a lot of brains in this business. I mean, I've always said if you got an IQ of 160, give away 30 points to somebody else, because you don't need it in investments. What you do need is emotional stability. You have to be able to think independently, and you have to be when you come to a conclusion, you have to really not care what other people say, and just follow the facts and follow your reasoning. And that's tough for a lot of people. That part I think I was just lucky with. I was born that way.
In terms of emotions, it's a truism that in investing, emotions are your enemy.
Absolutely.
That when the market's good, if you feel good, don't. If you feel bad, you should probably do it.
Right.
But how did you? What was that extra thing where so many will acknowledge that, and yet we saw in the current crisis they panicked while you went into seemingly potential disasters like GE and Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. I can't really tell you the answer. I mean, I didn't learn it in school or anything. It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I don't know a thing about. I just stay away from those. So I stay within what I call my circle of competence. You know, and Tom Watson said it best. He said, I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. Well, I try and stay around those spots, and I just don't have a problem if somebody says, you're wrong on something. I go back and look at the facts, and I think that really is much more important, frankly, than having a few points of IQ or having an extra course or two in school or anything of the sort. You need emotional stability.
And so in terms of people who are not even in the business, if they, I think we were talking when we had dinner the other day about how in tennis, most of us are never going to get to Wimbledon. But if we just focus, as somebody once said, get the ball over the net. Don't try to be fancy about it. Just get the ball over the net. You'll do fine.
Yeah, and that's a little bit like, I've got this rule, you know, the first rule is don't lose, and the second rule is never forget the first rule. So it really isn't so much having a lot of brilliant decisions. It's just not really having some terrible ones. And frankly, I did learn from Ben Graham how to avoid ever having any disasters in investments. It wasn't that you were going to come up with the very smartest thing, but if you never have any significant losses, you know, some singles and doubles will produce a lot of runs before you get through.
Who was Ben Graham? He was your primary mentor, model?
He was a wonderful man, and he was my professor at Columbia. I read his book when I was 19 at the University of Nebraska, and I'd started investing when I was 11, and I started reading about it when I was like 7. So I'd gone through I read every book in the Omaha Public Library that there was on, by the time I was 12, on investing and stock market. And I had a lot of fun, but I never really found out, I never got grounded in anything. And it was entertaining, but it wasn't going to be profitable. And then I read Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor, when I was at the University of Nebraska. And that just opened the whole thing up to me. Yeah, and I named my oldest son is named Howard after my dad, Graham Buffett, and he was a marvelous man. Never expected anything from me in return. He just did all these things for younger people.
You have just a couple of quick examples of the things that he did that you will look back on. It's one thing to read something, but quite another to see it in action.
Well, but what he did was he got me thinking, not as a stock as something with a ticker symbol that wiggles around and that you look at charts on or anything. He taught me to think about it as part of a business, and that was vital. And he taught me not to really pay any attention to stock market fluctuations except when they were working in my favor, so that not to get elated because something had gone up or depressed because it went down. So if I knew the facts on something and it went down, I bought more of it, and because I looked at it as a business. And then he taught that famous lesson about a margin of safety, that you don't drive a truck that weighs 9,900 pounds across a bridge that says limit 10,000 pounds, because you can't be that sure about it. If you see something like that, you go down a little further down the road and you find one that says limit 20,000 pounds, and that's the one you drive across.
So he, in effect, taught you that stocks weren't just numbers. Numbers were
right.
shorthand for flesh and blood businesses.
Absolutely.
And very easy to overlook.
I've never forgotten it.
Jay, you are in a business that's perhaps even more competitive, because there's probably not a young person in the country who at some point in their lives wants to be an entertainer, a star.
Right.
And you've not only have done it, but you've done it consistently. And even though you're only 40 going on 41, in that business, that's almost like 80 in Warren's world. It's tough to do more than one or two. Looking back, what were the things that broke you out of the pack in the most dramatic way possible?
As I was listening to him, I just hear all the similarities and all the things in what he's saying, right? Because if you don't look at it as tickers and things like that, you're really just searching for the truth within, all that. And within all the numbers and all the chaos, you're just searching for the truth, right? And that's the key to being a recording artist, right? You're telling your story or finding your truth at the moment. Mine's a little opposite from Warren, because I started a little later. My first album didn't come out till I was 26, so I had a bit more maturity of where I was at. It's my first album had all these, emotions and complexities and layers to them that a typical hip hop album didn't have, because we were making it at 16, 17 years old. There wasn't enough wealth of experience to share with the world. So at 26, I had been through so many different things. I had so much wealth to share, with the world at that time. And from that starting point, I've never forgotten those things. Like you said, you never forget those true things that you stick to, your basic things that make you successful. And for me, it's that truth, finding that truth, the truth of the moment of where I am at the time. Not trying to cater to a certain demographic, or not being something I'm not driving a truck over a bridge 10,000, the whole thing. Like, there's so many similarities and what he was just saying.
Now, in terms of a mentor, you mentioned at a young age you got a love of words. How you meant, and before we recorded, you mentioned a 6th grade teacher brought that out in you that's lived a lifetime.
Yeah, I was telling you early, like in our classrooms where we grew up. I grew up in Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, and our classrooms were flooded. So it's very difficult for teachers to give you like one-on-one attention. And there's just one 6th grade teacher. Her name was Miss Loudon. She must have saw something in me, and she gave me this attention, and she gave me this love for words. It's funny how it works. It's worked for me to this day. But just a little bit of attention. She also took us on a field trip to her house, which opened me up to the world. My neighborhood had been my world. It's the only thing I had seen. I just saw a whole different world. My imagination grew from there. I wanted that. I aspired to have that. The small thing. She had like a ice thing on her refrigerator. You push the ice and the water come down. I was really amazed by that. I was like, I want one of those. It's true.
Now, you also, even though you didn't record your first album till you were 26, you, in effect, were writing music in your own mind.
Yeah, I was around music my whole life. My mom and pop had like a huge record collection, so I started out listening to music early on, and I would just write music, and I just had a love from it, from there. And I didn't get to it, I got caught into my neighborhood and my surroundings, but I've always taken it with me, and I've always went back to it, and then just got to a point where it was like, make this decision. This is something you really love and you love to do. It's time to really focus on it and to get serious about it, and give it your all. And once I did that, it was no looking back from there.
And you were able to overcome where you grew up, as you once put it. You saw what happened and things like drug dealing, where the life would end, and you decided at some point, I'm not going there.
Yeah, those sort of decisions that happen in many of our lives. When we're faced with those fork in the road moments. And I was around people, and I was seeing people, really genuinely nice people, going away for 13 years, and all these unjust and Rockefeller laws, and I was just around that so much that I would just told myself, man, I have to make a decision at some point. And I made this decision to focus on music, which was my love, and it worked out.
Consistency. People have a love of music. They may do 1 or 2 or 3 albums, and then for some reason they fade away. That hasn't happened to you.
I think again it goes back to a bit of what Warren was saying as well. Like, it's the discipline as well, the discipline to not get caught up in the moment. Music is like stocks too. There's the hot thing of the moment. There's this hot electro sound, or the hot auto-tune voice, or the hot whatever's new and exciting, and people tend to make emotional decisions based on that. They don't stick with what they know. This is who I am. This is what I do, and then they jump on this next hot thing, and it's not for you. So for me, just having the discipline and having the confidence that in who I am. And if I go into a studio and if I find my truth of the moment, there are a number of people in the world that can relate to what I'm saying, and it's gonna buy into what I'm doing. Not because it's the new thing of the moment, but because it's my genuine emotions. It's how I feel. It's how I articulate the world. And, just having the discipline to just, be yourself.
Because you once said, as an artist, you are fighting against everything that's new and everyone's fascinations with new things.
Yeah, shiny things.
And
people fall in love with shiny things.
So in essence, as you grow older, you bring an audience with you because the topic of your music grows with you.
Right. Right.
So
I
it
mean,
never stays, doesn't go stale.
Yeah, because for hip hop is like 30 years old. Like hip hop is fairly a new genre of music, so we've never seen, you know, the maturation of hip hop, you know, in this sort of way. This never happened before. You know, people would get a certain age and still try to pinpoint this, you know, young demographic, because hip hop was a young man sport. But you know, people that listen to hip hop when they're 18, they still gonna like hip hop when they're 28. It's just that the voices in hip hop are not speaking directly to them anymore. Weren't, you know, they weren't. They were speaking to a 18-year-old demographic, you know. So, you know, you're 28, you don't have anything to listen to because no one's relating to you. So, you know, my whole thing was, I'm not gonna do that. You know, I'm just gonna make, you know, the music that I love to make and that I want to make, and I'm gonna mature with my music. And you know, luckily for me, it was the right decision.
When did you realize that not only did you have this ability with music and not to get stale, but recognize too, you have to be treated also, even though you love it, as a business, so that you don't end up, as so many do, they lose everything they have, they're in effect indentured to companies, and they're not masters of their fate.
Yeah, that was the greatest trick in music that people ever pulled off, is to convince artists that you can't be an artist and make money. I think the people that were making millions actually set that. I think they set that whole thing up. You know, it was almost like shameful, like especially in rock and roll. You had to pretend that, you know, you got these millionaire guys who had to pretend as if they weren't successful at all, or it would be like a detriment to their career. You know, hip hop from the beginning, you know, just, it was always been aspirational. You know, just always broke that thing. You know, that thing that an artist can't think as well. And I think at the end of the day, as long as when you separate the two and you're not making music with business in mind,